That's a Edgy D.
Don't stop.
DJ! Man, let me top my talk. Clank, clank, clank. Clank, man. DJ, man. What the fuck is going on, man? It's clank. What the fuck is going on? DJ! My life is not a movie, it's a musical. Don't be so sticky that the grind is now unusable. And at my funeral, just please make sure it's beautiful. My girl understands that life gon' be unusual. They putting Fetty in whatever might go cold turkey. Gotta top my talk because it's really been a whole journey. Life's a trip, I'm drunk, driving through the snow flurry. Shorty's favorite song was Lil Bibby, don't worry. Yeah, be careful what you wish for cause it's right there. Boy, I really top my talk, I make it quite clear. Shorty said about whatever, I'll be right there. And when I tried to quit the Zaza, I got night tears. I starve an artist even with the paper. Closed mouths don't get fed, so I'm screaming at the waiter. Extended farmhouses sit on 25 acres. I be outside smoking weed, I'm talking shit with all the neighbors. Yeah, I digged into that Dunkin', barely sip lean. My cousin served my country, said he'd pay me on the 15th. Someone wake me up, my life is sick dream. In and out Manhattan like I'm playing for the Knicks team. I'm ballin'. Who's that person at the diner? And I'm flying with them carts like the male Brittany Griner. In that hybrid, smoking hybrid, I be flying. That Gucci coat better have a silver lining. Yeah, DJ Lucas, I'm the man of the hour. And I came up out the woods just like a transmission tower. One hand in the music and one hand in the flower. It's still a live event when I'm singing in the shower. And I really tell my talk until it's madness. My homie with fraud, he keep looking at my address. Boy, I be around the drugs just like an actress. I'm from a whole different era, everyone was using MapQuest. I starve an artist even with the paper. Closed mouths don't get fed, so I'm screaming at the waiter. Extended farmhouses sit on 25 acres. I be outside smoking weed, I'm talking shit with all the neighbors. Yeah, I digged into that Dunkin', barely sip lean. My cousin served my country, said he'd pay me on the 15th. Someone wake me up, my life is sick dream. In and out Manhattan like I'm playing for the Knicks team. DJ, Americana, Americana, clean, clean. Hey DJ, man. Let me talk my talk, man.
You got this bitch on garage, man. You going crazy.
Yeah. Shorty got a tattoo of a bird. Man, she gotta come to me. I ain't acting on it first. I'm smoking zombie cause they agitate my nerves. Ha ha ha. I be laughing with a hurt. Ha ha ha. I be laughing cause you're weird. Man, I wanna get respect, but I'd rather not be feared. I used to drive to work myself, but now you gotta get it here. Shorty wanna hit the blunt, but then she started acting weird. Shorty wanna hit the blunt and started talking about her dog. Why I came up out the woods, we finding worms under the lawn. Red Bull, you gotta give me something. And my homie sniffing dope, working overnight and dunking. They still tell me ballerina look like jumping. When the bitches see you at the party, they ain't saying nothing. First they showing hate and then they loving. My music's so hot, I'm reconnecting with my cousins. Jump up on a track and now they puzzled. Your shorty looking at me, I think that she wanna snuggle. Girl, I beat it up like you're in trouble. Came out Western Mass and say we living in a bubble. Used to talk my talk and they didn't wanna hear it. Now I need a couple racks and I'm hopping on the merit. Shorty said she gonna get a couple mil from her parents. Screaming in the parking lot while they film me like a Karen. 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 Hey. I'm screaming in the parking lot, come film me like a Karen. 3 grams in my wood, it doesn't mean I'm sharing. Smoking hella za to the point that people staring. Flyer than a heron, I run shit just like an errand. Gotta use my mind, cause my fists might fail. They're like, why the fuck we listen to this cis white male? My homie got the blicky cause his fist might fail. Why the fuck we listen to this cis white male? Jump up on a track and they compare me to M. Every day's another day preparing for the end. Talking all that talk, you're gonna find yourself condemned. The person in the mirror isn't acting like my friend. I look like a Karen when I'm screaming in the parking lot. Golden fleece on me, baby DJ in the Argonauts. Said I really got a story. This is therapeutic, I don't do it for the glory. I talk my talk, it don't matter what I'm wearing. Screaming in the parking lot while they film me like a Karen. 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 While you film me like a I got the filthy people staring.
Stop flexing your muscles, Jordan.
up, wake up, wake up, up your wake. This is your official cosign here on Edgy FM, coming in live on your ham radio. How's the rapture going? We heard the Boogaloo Boys are back in town, so I'm gonna kick it over to my Vanilla Bean brother, who you know gets down. You know he's doing his thing, edging that big old D, and that's a fact, Jack.
I heard about boys, they wanna test me. I finna cut the chats, watch the nets bleed. I guess the niggas heard that I'm edgy. I guess they all heard that I'm edgy.
You edgy.
I heard about boys, they wanna test me. I finna split the heads up like the Red Sea. I guess the niggas heard that I'm edgy. I guess they all heard that I'm edgy.
You edgy.
Plenty of boys wanna test me. I finna snip them bitches like Wesley.
Snipes.
I'm slumming on some shots, they call me Gretzky.
Wayne.
Mix only in these niggas cause I'm edgy. So if you fuck boys still wanna test me, I'll make you take the plunge like Nesty. The police trying to arrest me, but CCs can't catch me because I'm edgy. Now some nerd niggas wanna protest me. I grab them by the britches, give them wedgies. Well, wonder how these bitches think I'm sexy. Yo, bitch, don't give me brain because I'm edgy. Now these faggot niggas trying to caress me. I follow through ass till they veggie. Because I don't want no faggot hoes unless they lazy. This is a fun with nigga cause I'm edgy. And if a nigga wanna try to oppress me,
Press who?
I put them slave niggas till they sweat me.
Slave what?
Watch the fucking tone when you address me. What? Don't look me in the eye, boy, cause I'm edgy. Pussy. And if the rabbi wanna bring me gold, you tell me. I flip the table cause our Jesus bless me. Now all the priests want to molest me. The imam want you up because I'm edgy. Now these so-called edgy boys upset me. Yo, cheesy ass niggas looking zesty. The niggas say they cancel cause it's trendy. But have you ever named the truth? No, you ain't edgy. And if you thought this world was sick in 2020, fuck COVID-19, I'm COVID-20. They say my spitting is a virus, it's so deadly. Super spreading through their minds because I'm edgy.
Fauci.
And if I feel my government don't represent me, I'm gonna fuck shot like a fatty. Now your head look like a bowl of spaghetti.
That's true though.
Dinner's ready, now you dead me, bitch, I'm edgy.
You edgy.
And if you still ain't heard it, now you hear correctly. I fuck these pussy niggas till they stretchy. Stolen by the edgy cucks, they like a sexy. A nigga here I war because I'm edgy. I heard them fuck boys, they wanna test me. I finished with the dudes, I guess the niggas heard that I'm edgy. I guess they all heard that I'm edgy.
You edgy.
I heard them fuck boys, they wanna test me. I finished with the hands up on the Red Sea.
You're now tuned in to the edgiest guy I know.
I guess they all heard that I'm edgy. Yeah.
Shit, that's one edgelord I wouldn't want trolling me. He took that pass and photocopied that shit.
Very nice.
High IQ, but a low down dirty shame. Damn, Stan. Alright, you're listening to Edgy FM. I'm your host with the dark roast. Cosign. You just heard I'm edgy by Edgy D. All that edge talk sounds repetitive to me, but the boy does get my cosign. Hail Edgy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the EdgeStream. It's good to be back another Tuesday night. It's good to see a lot of people in the chat holding me accountable for being a little bit late. Not sure about gay. I don't know where these accusations come from, but anyways, I'm glad to see you guys here. Yes, I'm still in front of all the insulation behind me, so I am still technically Itchy D, because that's where I sleep at night. But yeah, we have a great show for you guys tonight. We might have some guests on tonight, I'm not sure. I'll be looking out in the chat to see if anyone wants to come on. Anybody who's been on the show before, feel free to chop it up with me tonight. We are live right now on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and Entropy. And you could donate over Rumble, Odyssey, and Entropy. I've been able to collect donations. If you want to support the show on any of those platforms, that would be a great help for me I could put more production value into the show. I can maybe cover up all this insulation behind me. I'm definitely going to be working towards that. But anyways, I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the chat. First of all, I guess I'll just introduce the topics. Well, first of all, the songs there. If any of you guys didn't know, that is my rap song, I'm Edgy by Edgy D. And I'm looking towards making new rap songs like that in the future if I could find the time. I'm a very musical guy myself, and that's the kind of shit that I get up to when I do that. So, I'm hoping for more of that in the future. And yeah, I was playing some other good underground rap that I know. DJ Lucas, Dark World, good shit. I believe they're from Massachusetts, and they've cultivated their own like cult following for weird underground like experimental rap music amongst their community, and they've branched outwards after that. So yeah, DJ Lucas, check him out if you can. I listen to that kind of shit. I know some people accuse me of listening to degenerate rap music, especially trap music, but there's a lot of good stuff with like deep bass and 808 basses involved with rap music where you could do a lot with it and make like newer styles with it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And as far as the show topics today, of course, we're going to be talking about Trump, his new mugshot, his new indictment in Georgia, and how they're basically going after political dissidents, and how I can't really relate to Donald Trump, to be honest, when it comes to his political persecution. I believe he's getting charged in 4 or 5 different states with 91 different charges. And he was the president of the United States. He's been through so much. And I can't really relate to that specifically, but there are people in our own country and in my own friend group who definitely have been politically persecuted. Not to the same level, but you could definitely see some analogous happenings that happen, right? You could see that they'll just go after people. They'll put forth charges against people that they would never normally do in any other circumstance. And then when it comes to the media, they pick that kind of thing up, and the normie eats it up as if this person is a bad person, and they wouldn't be being charged if it wasn't for the fact that they're actually doing something wrong. Now, we know that that's not true, obviously. But when we analyze these situations, even if it is like political theater, it helps us analyze and realize that this is happening on a micro level, a macro level, and we could kind of identify like the specific sleight of hands, all the little things that they're doing in order to like trick people into thinking that this is all okay. So if it happens to Trump, it could happen to you and it could happen to me. So learning about all of this and being able to analyze and defend yourself against it is crucial in this informational culture and political war. So we're going to be getting into that. We're probably going to go over the housing crisis in Canada again. It's just an ongoing thing. I know that our economy is so fucked. We're heading for a recession. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And I don't really understand a game plan on how things are going to get better in any way in the near future when it comes to like the economics of this country, the housing crisis. It's like the main thing that is exacerbating this crisis is immigration. And of course, the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre, I almost said Peter Trudeau. I was trying to say Pierre Poilievre, but then I just added in Trudeau at the end. I wasn't meaning the old school Pierre Trudeau. I was kind of combining Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau together, because they kind of are the same thing, and they want the same goals for Canada, and that is for old stock Canadians to be replaced. It's sad to see, and I don't know how much Pierre Poilievre is complicit in this personally, or how much he wants to see that specific agenda go through, but his actions, and especially his inability and unwillingness to even address immigration when it comes to the housing crisis, it's just unacceptable, and it's just going to lead us to further ruin. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of that tonight. Okay, sorry, I'm just checking my Telegram chats. If anybody is out there watching that has been on the show and wants to come chop it up with me tonight, like, I don't know, Ferryman, Derek, Rage, Tofu, anybody out there, feel free to message me on Telegram. I have my Telegram notifications open so that I will see it. So that's better than messaging in chat. All right, I'm going to hop into all the different chats and see what you guys are saying before I start. Oh, we got 90 watching on YouTube. That's awesome. On Rumble, we have... Oh no, Rumble is kind of weird. It's hard to tell what's actually going on. It says 36 viewers waiting. What? And I'm seeing people are saying that it started on an alt channel. Started on an alt channel. Okay. I'm gonna look into that quickly. Because I think I know what they're saying. Rumble is very weird in that you have two profiles. And one of them that I have is not subscribed by anyone. I didn't do anything different. Come on, Rumble, what's going on here? Okay, I'm going to type in Edgy D TV or EdgeStream on Rumble. See if I'm actually live. Okay, I don't know what's going on. It's saying that I'm not live. Alright, well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't think it's live on Rumble. I don't know what's going on. You guys could come over onto YouTube or Entropy. I'll drop that in the chat. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure this out while the live stream is already going. So I'm just going to dump the links in the chat there. It's unfortunate because Rumble is a great platform. I received the donations there. After a bit of hassle, they're kind of weird on Rumble. They made me jump through some hoops. But of course, Entropy is working, and hell, motherfuck yeah, we already have an amazing, fucking super generous donation on Entropy. And it's from the one and only Dr. Genstein. Oh, okay, first off, shoutouts Brightwheel and Scott Baker. Good to see you there, throwing some slashes up on Entropy. But god damn it, Genstein. I think this might be foreign interference. 75 USD. That's enough to buy possibly even a house here in Canada. I don't know. I haven't looked at the housing prices recently, but I appreciate it, man. He says, "Fuck, I missed you all. Back from vacation with the Cirque wife and the Cirque in-laws." Well, I appreciate you coming over here to my stream again, Genstein. Dr. Genstein, you're like the Mengele to my Hitler. You're the Genstein to my Edgy D. And no, we're not torturing Jews down here in my sketchy, insulation-filled murder dungeon. We're going over some other things. And I appreciate your epic donations, man, Dr. Genstein. Man, I don't know what to say. Thank you, man. Alright. Well, I think I'm going to get into the topics for tonight. Let's check out the new Trump mugshot. So, Trump just got indicted on some charges in Georgia I think it was last Wednesday. And this is the mugshot that has been going around. It's like a symbol of, I don't know, is it a symbol of his downfall? That now he's not going to be able to make it as president in 2024. He's not going to be a good contestant because he's facing all these legal battles. Or is this a mugshot of defiance? Of defiance, meaning that now he has the street cred. He has a riled up voter base that is going to come out for him in numbers unprecedented from before. Because honestly, when I was thinking about Trump in the last year or two, it was just I was like, is Trump even a thing anymore? What's going on with them? You hear that he has Truth Social, and I don't personally follow Truth Social. I think a lot of people out there don't follow that platform either, and he hasn't been posting on X, formerly known as Twitter, right? He did post on Twitter, I believe, recently, indicating that he's going to make a comeback, because that's where his stomping grounds for all his social media activity was in the 2015-2016 lead up to the first election when he actually won. But anyways, he's being extremely politically persecuted in the sense that he has, I guess, 4 different separate cases. Or, no, he's being charged in 4 different states, and I believe a total of 91 charges totaled amongst all the different states and all the different situations that he's got himself into. And it's only in the last year or two, I believe, that all these charges have been brought about against him. And that makes you think, is this really something that they needed to do in order to prosecute a criminal? Like, I want you to think, if Trump just fucked off and he decided that he was no longer going to be involved with politics anymore, would they have brought criminal charges up against him in that situation? I don't think so. I think that the DOJ and the US government and the deep state or whatever else would have used their resources for better things to, I guess, fortify democracy or fortify the election that is upcoming, other than prosecuting Donald Trump and trying their darndest to put him in fucking prison. So, I guess that's all hypothetical, because Donald Trump is running. He seems to be in full force. Ron DeSantis doesn't seem to be holding any ground up against Donald Trump. And we saw the Republican debates. I didn't watch them, but from what I gathered from all the commentary about them, when it comes to the Republican debates that just happened last week, it seems like Vivek, I don't know his last name, Rameshay or whatever, some people are calling him like the brown Ron Paul, Ron Patel, which is pretty fucking funny. So he's capturing all the populist talking points. He's really hammering them home. And I do think that is interesting, and it's bringing forth a new perspective into the GOP and into the mainstream media. So I'll probably talk about Vivek later in this stream, but just talking about the political persecution of Trump first. So the newest indictment is from Georgia. So they're charging him with like the RICO Act. So I'm not exactly sure what this means, but from my understanding is that this is like a very serious criminal charge that is used against criminal organizations, like say the mafia, or another person that was charged under this, but then like snitched everybody out and got away with it, was the rapper 6ix9ine. This greasy fucking rapper that has tattoos all over his face, and he got viral and really famous by doing music videos with hundreds of gang members from the Bloods and the Crips flashing their weapons. So this guy right here, he was being threatened with being charged under the RICO statutes. So now we have Trump being threatened or charged under that statute too. Now, the very specific individual charges, it's hard to really dissect what is going on there, right? Now, we do know that in Georgia, the DA is like Fannie Willis, and she is the daughter of a Black Panther, and Donald Trump was going after her for that, saying that she has her own absolutely racist history of having a father that was in the Black Panthers, and now the mainstream media is coming after her for that. So we'll look a bit into that. I'm just going to check the chat one more time, see if Rumble is getting anywhere. I don't know if I screwed it up on my end, but no, it doesn't seem like it's working. So Odyssey and Entropy are working. And yeah, hit the like button on YouTube. It'll help put it up in the algorithm so more people will see it. I'd really appreciate that. Good to see you. Your favorite Karen, Warren G, Bombing Frog, Andrew Simpson, Rick Freedom, Boomerman. Too many Glocks. Trevor Canning, Bearded Nomad. Alright. So there's the mugshot. Everybody's been memeing the mugshot. I think personally that this mugshot here, it exudes like a rebellious authority to him. This helps Trump. Like, they've already got him on several other indictments. They've already charged him several other times. He hasn't given up. He's still pushing through. I mean, so many rhinos, Republicans in name only, in the GOP, they give up so easily. From the fear of being called racist. From the fear of being considered too aligned with Trump. With so many, they're probably just controlled lifetime actors, to be honest, most of them. But they're all under the whip. And Donald Trump being arrested for the 4th time, being charged with the 4th set of charges, as far as I know, over 91 across 4 or 5 states, and this is the mugshot that goes around. It's a win for him at this point, because were the other like 70 or 80 charges really gonna stick? Now, we see with people that we know here in Canada, like the Raging Dissident, Jeremy McKenzie, you could see him behind me. This cardboard cutout right here, that's the guy himself. It's literally cloned from his DNA. We're doing some crazy here. We're doing some crazy things here at Diagolon Biotech. We're creating some epic bioweapons, gun, knife, bomb, rope, anthrax. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we have cloned Jeremy McKenzie right back there. And yes, he is going through some legal battles himself. And we've seen them being dropped one by one. And one that got dropped recently, he literally got dragged across the country for a situation where, if you knew like the details of why he was being charged, nobody else would have been dragged from one province to the other and then put in jail for 2 months without bail, unless there was some political persecution involved. And we all knew that, and like we fundraised for him, we helped them. But yeah, now the charges are dropped. That 2 months in jail, was it all for nothing? Do you get your time, your money back? If somebody were to have beat him up, were to have hurt him, if we were to have suffered some extreme mental anguish while he was in there, would he get restituted for that? No, when you're a political dissident, they could do these things for you. They could do these things to you. And there's nothing you could really do about it. And I think an even bigger thing to drive home is that they can charge you with things and not really have an intention of going all the way through with it. But it's just the process that is really going to wring you dry, that's going to hurt you. So that's what they tend to do. But the shit that does stick, they'll go through with that. So if they can make this shit stick to Trump, I'll be surprised. But it seems insane. Like, how are you going to invoke like RICO laws against Trump for Georgia? Like, what did he even do in Georgia? He questioned whether like there was voter fraud in Georgia or not. So now he has like a whole litany of charges. And it seems like him just trying to make sure that they're doing their jobs, to make sure that the integrity of the election was sought through in that county or that state. It seems like him trying to make sure that everything, that the election was actually fair. That is enough to get him charged on huge criminal conspiracy charges. It's insane. So I do have some articles that kind of go through the facts behind what happened before in all these different states and evidence of potential voter fraud. I'm not gonna say here that like the election was rigged or that there was definitely voter fraud. I want to present some evidence so that you guys could come to your own conclusions. And it did kind of bother me that after the 2020 election, that some of the evidence that was presented, it wasn't easily digestible and presentable to normal people as like a slam dunk that this election was actually stolen. Like, I remember watching the Mike Liddell movie where he says, like, he shows on a huge screen, like an InfoWars size computer screen, that this right here, this is where the Chinese flipped all these votes here. They hacked into the system. And I'm pretty sure it was talking about like the Dominion voting system. But either way, it went in one ear and out the other. It wasn't really a convincing case. Like, I wouldn't be able to argue against if a fact checker came up to me and told me that that was all a lie and that he just made it up, because there wasn't enough sources cited, all these different things. But I think you can make a great case if you just know electoral history and how, like, the election that happened in 2020 was so improbable just by the grounds of how people would have actually voted, and then with stuff like mail-in voting. Like, the fact that every time that the Republicans, or especially Donald Trump, because for the most part, the Republicans did nothing, they cowered, but Trump himself and his colleagues, they asked for transparency in all the states that, you know, swung the election in the favor of Biden at the last second, and you could see all the little sleights of hands, all the little things that they did to deny justice, to deny transparency. And ultimately, you know, they talk so much about democracy and, you know, protecting our mud democracy. But at the end of the day, these are the people who are thwarting democracy. There is no democracy. Democracy is a good idea if you don't have people just constantly manipulating and just ruining it for everybody else. So when they say democracy, don't even listen to them. It's just authoritarianism. But anyways, I'm gonna pull up Trump turning himself in. Is this not badass?
That nigga got a suit on. That might have been him. Oh, God. That was him.
That's Trump right there. That's Trump that walked past. Yeah, that's Trump.
Oh, that might have been him.
We don't know who he is. That might be him. It might be him. Oh, shit. Well, this shit real. This shit for real.
Yeah, he was in that first.
Why? Don't play with the blood. Look at this shit. Okay.
So there it is. Trump entered my hood. He's going into the lion's den. And I don't mean lion's den as in black people are animals. They're lions. Oh my god. Hey, if I was saying that black people are subhuman, and it was a bad thing, I wouldn't say lions. Lions are fucking based. You know who else was a lion? Sorry. I was just thinking of Daniel in the lion's den, the biblical story, and my name's Daniel. Anyways, no. They're coming through. Trump is coming through the Georgia hood, but he's not on equal playing grounds. What do you think a jury is going to do to Trump in Georgia? And that's why Trump is trying to get the fuck... He's trying to get the fuck away. Do I have it here? Hold on.
Just get the fuck away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed.
He's got to get out of Georgia. He's got to get his court case taken to another state where... what happened in Georgia, the McMichaels, Ahmaud Arbery case happened there. Do you remember what happened with that? 3 guys got charged and sentenced to life for murder because one family, the McMichaels, the father and the son, they chased this black guy, Ahmed Arbery, who was doing break-and-enters, and they finally caught him, and there was a struggle for one of their guns because one of them brought a shotgun with them while they were chasing him. Not a good idea. But this guy struggled for the gun from him and ended up shooting him through the barrel of the gun that Ahmed Arbery was trying to take from him. So the son who was involved, the father who was involved, and the guy who simply just followed them because he saw that his neighbors were in pursuit of somebody, so he followed from behind and then filmed it all. That guy, too, got arrested for basically murder and is now, in jail for, 20 years. And that is because in Georgia, is the jury going to be sympathetic for you? Is the judge going to be sympathetic for you? And also, I believe that there were Black Panther, Black nationalist types waiting outside of the courtroom, ready to intimidate people. So, I don't know how you could have justice when you have all these factors, especially with the media, threatening another George Floyd type riot. I don't know how you're going to get justice. So, I don't know how Trump is going to get justice here. It's one of those situations where hopefully he has lawyers that are good enough to get him out of that situation. Now, there's this article here that really made me laugh. Now, I don't know how the Associated Press is doing articles like this. As far as I know about the Associated Press, they're supposed to be one of the main news organizations that give news headlines and articles to all the different mainstream media outlets throughout all the different countries, especially in the Western world, right? The Associated Press, Reuters, or whatever. And now they have titles like this: How Trump's Attacks on Prosecutors Build on History of Using Racist Language and Stereotypes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that sounds like very neutral language when it comes to a news story that you're giving to all the other different news outlets out there. But they're saying that Trump's attacks on the people who are attacking him, who are charging him with all these different charges, and you think about all the previous presidents and how they were probably involved with so many different crimes, like the Clintons, the Bushes, whoever else. Nixon got away on his helicopter and he just pieced the fuck out. Nobody really bothered him after. But 91 charges for Trump? That tells me that Trump is actually a threat to the system, or at least he's awakening something within the people, a real populist element or a nationalist element that they really don't like. But anyways, it might be just more of a clown and circus show or whatever. But this article is something else. How Trump's attacks on prosecutors build on history of using racist language and stereotypes. So this is worth reading everything that I've highlighted here. Donald Trump's aggressive response to his 4th criminal indictment in 5 months follows a strategy he has long used against legal and political opponents. Relentless attacks, often infused with language that is either overtly racist or is coded in ways that appeal to racists. So, super secret racist language, apparently. The early Republican president frontrunner has used terms such as animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. Now, that's interesting because, what if they were white? Does that matter? Are you dehumanizing white people, or is it only in that specific context, right? So now we're already different rules for different people. Of course, I know I'm talking to the wind here and it's blowing right back at me. So it goes on to say he has accused black prosecutors of being racist. Now that just adds on top of what I just said. They're using the fact that he is called a black guy racist as evidence of racism. They're literally calling him racist here. Are they not racist? Oh, it's just you can't accuse a black person of being racist, or else that's racist. This is literally what the Associated Press, I guess the news agency that gives headlines to everybody else, this is what they're saying. A new low. I would expect this from BuzzFeed, but here we are. And it goes on to say, and on his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump has deployed terms that rhyme with racial slurs. So here comes the title of this stream. Even if he doesn't explicitly employ racial slurs, his language recalls America's history of portraying black people as not fully human. Okay, so what are they talking about? About his slick little rhymes, his little rhyme schemes. So they're saying that last week, Trump posted online that prosecutors instead should have gone after those who rigged the election. They only went after those that fought to find the riggers. Sorry, do I have a sound effect for this? The riggers. Dun dun dun. I don't have a dun dun dun. Sorry, guys. The riggers. That's the best I could do right now. The close resemblance of riggers to a racial slur garnered attention from internet users on a pro-Trump online platform who used the term in dozens of racist messages calling for people to be killed and hanged after seeing Trump's posts. Whoa! I can't even believe that they're this blatant in writing the most absolute garbage. The Associated Press. They are saying that because he called people who he sees rigged the election, like that's what he's being charged for. If he can at least not stand up for himself for that, he's saying that people rigged the election. That's what he's being charged for. So he says that they're doing the action. He makes a noun of the action that they're doing. Riggers. Okay. And then they just go and look for anybody who is commenting on anything and using that as something to indict him for, as if he was inciting violence just by using the word rigger, which just happens to rhyme with another word. I don't need to tell you guys, but I guess rigger is the new word. Me and my riggers out here were harvesting mail-in ballots all motherfucking day. We heating up them envelopes and we're taking up all them votes and we're rewriting that shit. We're rewriting history. I don't know, man. Things are getting crazy out there. To the point when, like, supposedly Trump is so racist, right? He's the most racist guy in the world. He's literally David Duke reincarnated when David Duke hasn't even died yet. But he might as well be dead. He's not in the political picture as much, but they still invoke his name. But anyways, here are some people who are black who do support Trump.
I'm here to support President Trump. You want to know why I'm here to support President Trump? Because they done did black men like this for decades. Make up charges and put them, so I know Trump is innocent. I support Trump against this corrupt, two-tiered justice system. That's why I'm here to show my support as a black man for Trump. And I'm wearing my shirt, Niggas for Trump 2024, and I mean that.
What do you think about the indictment?
Oh, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's going around the country. You know, Fannie Willis, she went to school with my sister. She full of shit. She was full of shit then. So she's a puppet for the white liberal that is controlling everything. She's in front, but the white liberal back there pulling those strings, telling her what to do. That's what I think about her, making a fool of herself.
Do you think it's going to help his election?
Of course it is. It's going to elevate him all the way. I think we should make Trump king. That's how I feel. We should make him king.
Wouldn't that be like kind of like communistic?
Nah, that's nowhere near communist. Now we just gonna make him king, but we still got our freedoms and rights and everything. He for that. Yeah, Trump for king 2024.
That's actually my URL. I own that URL.
You own that URL?
Can I get your name?
Really? Oh, my name is Niggas for Trump 2024.
I can't
Derek
write that.
Gibson,
That's my nigga.
Former
I can't write that on
candidate.
Twitter.
I'm a former candidate for New York State.
Was that a white guy who was just like, that's my nigga? He really got that in. I respect that. Sounded like a white guy. Let's hear him. Let's hear that again.
Can I get your name?
Really? Oh, my name is Niggas for Trump 2024.
I can't
Derek
write that.
Gibson, a
That's
former.
my nigga.
Oh, it was a white guy. All right. Respect. Mad respect. He got the N pass. You know, this is how we solve all the racial grievances here. It's just a fucking word. You use it all the time. Let us use it. You know when we're using it disrespectfully. Let us use it with you. God damn. I already have my N pass. Got signed by my nigga Cosign that you saw in the music video at the beginning of this stream. I actually lost it, so I might be going a little off the cuff here. I don't have my N pass on me. I gotta get it revalidated sometime soon. I'll probably have to talk to a black guy bigot, BGB, to get another N pass signed. I'm hoping.
Former candidate. I'm a former candidate for New York State Governor. Derek Gibson, look me up. Nigga, I live up to it too. Boy. I can scrap too, but I can get down. Boy.
This is the extended version, about a minute longer than most of the viral clips of this.
Not better, I can. I got a proven track record. You want to try me out? Try to take this shirt off. I'll give you some of it.
I need everybody off the roadway. Sir, I need everybody
Take care of yourself.
Lee Stewie is saying, you have to arm wrestle BGB for that N pass. Well, that actually happened in real life. I arm wrestled our good friend, Black Guy Bigot, and I lost, but it was only after 3 minutes. It was also at 7 a.m. in the morning. I want a rematch. My arm is a bit bigger now. And, yeah, I want to say the N-word. Let's fucking go. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. I don't really know what to think about that politically. All I think when I see that is, like, I can't wait for Trump to return to the spotlight, because we're going to have more moments like that. Trump is somewhat of an agent of chaos. Yeah, he is, like, the closest to our guy out of any of the presidential candidates. He is very cringe in some ways, and in some ways, I don't really like that he doesn't seem human. Like, he seems like a political unit that is concerned about his ego and his power and his name and reputation, right? I'm the kind of guy that likes laughing at myself. I like making a joke of myself for you guys sometimes, you know, Edgy D. So people who take themselves too seriously, sometimes that cringes me out a little bit. But I understand what Trump is going for, and yeah, I know Zion Dawn, he's into all of that, and he didn't follow through on his promises. He wouldn't be in the situation that he is in now if he actually did stuff to crack down on this criminal, like, deep state, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, or the Democrats who are just plotting against him constantly. He wouldn't be in the same situation. Also, the most important thing to me is if he defended social media platforms and allowed the people who got him into office in between 2016 and 2020, before he got ousted, if he would have, like, enacted laws, I don't know how you would do this, but I guess made social media platforms into non-trust, or I don't know exactly how to say it, but basically making social media platforms like kind of like a utility, as if you were using water or electricity, and making free speech that much of a right that if you have a monopoly on free speech on social media, if you have a monopoly on who gets to say what on social media, you can't target people based on their political views and then censor them because of that. Like, if you are going to be the main thing in town and you're going to make it difficult for other social media platforms like Gab and whatnot to get any traction, for anybody to hear anything that these people are saying on these platforms, then that's an issue. You need to do something in order to make the First Amendment, the right to free speech in America, and America is like the milestone for that in Western countries. America has the First Amendment. You have to do everything you can to, perpetuate the First Amendment all throughout the policies of the country. We need to hear what people are saying and then decide for ourselves. We don't need censorship. We don't need algorithm boosting or de-ranking or shadow banning or any of these things. And Trump failed spectacularly on that. And I really hope he's learned his lesson now that he's been quarantined into the ghettos of social media. Ferryman saying Trump is the chaos candidate. That's why it's worth pushing him. He creates an environment that forces our enemies to show themselves and allows us to make gains. Yeah. He puts himself out there. They hate him. He's like the target of hate for them. And their seething hatred makes them make a lot of missteps. And they think they're so righteous in just hating on one person. But their hate permeates and proliferates and expands to so many other people like you and me. And especially when it comes to the white populist, people that they think are like racist somehow, because we have like an invested interest in the survival of our own people. Yeah, you can really see the hatred come through when these people talk about Trump. The chaos candidate, it really does help. Now, I could understand that there's something truly wrong with our countries and with America when somebody like Trump, who is as bombastic, as much of like a cartoon as he is, and he becomes president, and he becomes the best candidate for the Republican Party, there is something seriously wrong with your country when that is the situation. However, I don't think that there's anything you could do that would be better. Like, yes, it is crazy when you have like somebody who's a literal comedian as president, or who is the best GOP candidate nominee for president, and he's being arrested like with 92 charges. But that's the state of affairs. You have somebody who's rude. Like, chivalry is out the door. We're no longer holding the door open for women. That boat has sailed. There's no more politeness in politics. We're at a state of war, and the war isn't like, we gotta go invade this other country. The war is at home, and it's mentally, and it's understanding the difference between good and evil, and understanding the difference between like what you actually need to do in order to survive and have your own people thrive, and to be able to point out the difference between people who are being incompetent and actually malevolent. Who is being stupid, who is being evil, point out all these different nuances. At the end of the day, they all gotta go. But like, we gotta wake people up to what's going on and inform our populace. Alright, I'm gonna check out the chat. I see that a bunch of other people have showed up here. Dr. Jenstein donating 15 USD. Appreciate it again, brother. He's saying, Ferryman, get on here. Let's get weird tonight. Well, Edgy D is already getting weird. We've already done niggas for Trump. My end pass has run out, but hey, the guy is saying it over and over again. I saw a white guy say it here. There's no blacks in my immediate vicinity, so I'm gonna get the forgiveness pass. I'll get that after, okay? You know, it's just a fucking word, guys. And this word is the biggest shit test, too. The N-word, so-called, nigger, nigga, whatever you want to call it. It's the biggest shit test. It's like these people say it all the time in their music. I've seen at a Kendrick Lamar concert, one of the verses to one of his best songs on his album is like, "Where you from, my nigga? My nigga." And he brings a white girl on stage to do karaoke with them specifically, and she says the words into the mic that are part of his song. And then people boo her in the crowd, and then he throws her under the bus after on all his social media platforms. It's so ridiculous. It's like, dude, that was your lyrics, and this girl, this poor girl, this poor white girl was on stage just reiterating your lyrics. But anyways, yeah, it's, you guys know. All right, so yeah, they're saying that Trump using the word rigger is a racial slur. Also, there's another one that they said here. Sorry, wrong link there. They're saying that he called her like peekaboo or something. So I have this highlighted here. Trump's reaction to the Georgia charges match how he's responded to earlier indictments and investigations. He has slammed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who is black, as a Soros-backed animal, even though George Soros, the Hungarian-American and Jewish billionaire who conservatives frequently invoke as a boogeyman, doesn't know and didn't directly donate to Bragg, according to a Soros spokesman. The former president also claims Bragg was a degenerate psychopath who hates the USA. So he called the DA, Letitia James, Peekaboo James. So I guess that they're implying that he was referring to Jigaboo. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It's getting pretty ridiculous. And the fact that you would use that kind of hearsay in an article that you're going to give to all the other media, like Peekaboo into Jigaboo, supposedly, and it's just like some super secret 4D racial dog whistling that's going on here. Now, at the same time, they're saying that he called out Alvin Bragg as a George Soros-backed DA. And they're saying that George Soros never specifically gave any money to Alvin Bragg. So, this is just the state of fact checks. And if anybody is bringing up a fact check to you that you think that maybe you could get on your side, you can inform them in good faith and they'll actually listen to you. You could tell them that, hey, these fact checks, they'll take something, like, say in this case, they'll say that George Soros didn't directly donate to Alvin Bragg, so this statement is completely false. Well, George Soros has all these different organizations which he donates money through, whether it's him or his like companies that are donating to these like very far left woke SJW type shit, where these DAs are letting off all these criminals and just increasing the state of crime that's going on and letting people out constantly, like a revolving door for bail. And that is what they're accusing Alvin Bragg of doing with this Soros money that he got through other organizations that George Soros is in control of. But of course, George Soros didn't come up to Alvin Bragg specifically and then slip $1 million into his pocket. So the fact checkers say that this statement is false. And that's how it goes. And that's how it goes in clown world. It really is something to behold. It looks like people were trying to make a rigger tower in the chat, but it failed horribly. I'm going to try and spell out rig. Oh, no. You got rigger, but there's 3 G's. Okay. That's pretty good. Nice rigger tower. I'm sure there was a lot of towers in which they were rigging the vote. Now, I think I have a really good article that goes over a lot of the evidence into the corruption that went behind the 2020 election. And there's a lot of historical precedents of what happened with votes in elections that preceded that, and it shows how it's very unlikely and improbable and potentially impossible that there was not some like kind of rigging or malfeasance within this election. However, I'm not saying anything is concrete here. But what I do like about this article that I read, and I've highlighted a lot of good stuff in it, is that it doesn't rely on things that are unconfirmable. It relies like on a basis of facts that are indisputable. And then you could build off of that. And I really think that that's what's missing in a lot of the right-wing sphere. And I think it does honestly get hijacked a lot, especially after this 2020 election. It gets hijacked by, honestly, QAnon types. I'm sure you could give other examples of different types of people, but they don't necessarily look at all the evidence. They don't start from a logical basis, like logical induction. Like, if this is real, then this would be real. And if these facts are true, then these facts would be true too. And then going from like the ground up in order to analyze if the things that they're reading, if these influencers that they're following are actually saying things that you could verify elsewhere. And they're not just in their own echo chamber of like, oh, the election was stolen and all these crazy things happened. Donald Trump is still in charge. Everybody's holograms, all these crazy things. You know, I'm not going to give like a straw man to all of them because I'm sure that these people are imparting a lot of good information upon people. And they have the right thing in mind and their heart is in the right place. But this is how COINTELPRO works. And I seriously think that like this QAnon stuff was a perfect example of how COINTELPRO, like the CIA and all these other like very deep state organizations, can take information that is true and then just poison the well and then just make truth indistinguishable from reality for a lot of people, and especially the people who matter, who can do something about it, right? So people with resources, right? Because your average boomer who's being targeted by QAnon conspiracies, they're not going to be able to do anything about it, even if like what is being said is true. And of course, people with bigger reputations on the line, they're not going to get sucked in by some kind of cultish behavior like that. But there is a case to be made that, hell, this was fucking rigged. Now, I hope on YouTube, I've heard on YouTube that you're allowed to contest the 2020 election now. I heard that that was a new rule that they said recently. Now, I've gotten a strike for it like a few months ago, but then like a couple weeks after, there was an announcement saying that you're allowed to do that on this platform. But I don't know. I'm not denying any elections. I'm just presenting some evidence. Okay. What are people saying in chat? I know Ferry's got the link if he wants to join at any point. Rumble's still not working. Odyssey, of course, you could donate on Odyssey and Entropy if you want. Appreciate oh shit. I just saw, I don't know if he just donated this in this very instant, but Dr. Genstein just tossed me another generous donation saying 50 to Edgy if Ferryman, my whore, shows up. 150 if Derek or Rage shows up. Oh my god. Now I feel like I'm really dancing for like a fucking whore, like a fucking monkey for Dr. Genstein here. Well, I'm gonna make sure this content is good. Like, the more money that is injected into the show, the more shame I will feel if the show isn't up to par. So, you're really injecting some quality into the show. I appreciate it, Genstein. You really know how to scare me straight. Thank you. And yeah, guys, make Edgy some money. Come on. You know you want to hang out with us. I don't know if they're there. But, anyways, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I was going to share with you the article that has all the good information. So this particular article, it caught my eye because it's from VDare, Virginia Dare. It's a website that's more so concerned with like pro-white concerns. And the editor here, Peter Brimelow, says that he took a little bit of a back seat during this 2020 election voter fraud rhetoric that was going on, because he was more focused on like the immigration issue and all this stuff, and he didn't want to get wrapped up in something that was very tense, right? But now they're commenting on it, and I really do appreciate like the insight from a website like this, because they had enough, they didn't care enough about the specific outcome of this election. They weren't shills. They were very concerned about, obviously, their own agenda, but now they're coming back to look at this from like a retrospect viewpoint. So he goes on to say here that, he was looking at the Biden administration's border enforcement and what was to come with that. So he wasn't as preoccupied with how they might have stolen the election from Trump. But what they did do here in this article is they kind of archived a lot of the things that led up to it that got memory hold, because you don't really hear the specifics of what happened going up to the elections. And I remember it very vividly. Like, I put some betting money down on all this, like basically 3 or 4 of the states that got screwed over. And I thought they were going to win for sure going into it early on, but then they packed it up for the night. And then God knows what happened after that. It was crazy. So he says that for anyone that's not a rabid Democrat, late on election night, November 3rd, 4th, 2020, the strong stench of fraud swirled across America. As Mr. Trump walked out to speak to the media in the early hours of November 4th, news tickers showed the president with a comfortable lead over Joe Biden in nearly every key battleground state. I'll prop this up a bit bigger. Pennsylvania with a 56-43 lead, just under 700,000 votes. Same with Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin. There was huge leads. And then the MSM just told them that they're stopping for the night, but in some situations, the stoppages were partial, in that they were still letting more votes come in, or they were stopping counting. It wasn't really clear what was actually going on. And then by the next day, like, the amounts just increased drastically. Like, just flipped the other way completely. And this guy is saying, I believe I've watched every presidential election count to the death since 1968. I cannot recall any with such a hiatus in counting or reporting, nor one with such decisive late reversals. And other people have the same opinion. So this is kind of the thing that the mainstream media has memory hold. Like, people are going after Trump for all this and for all these different claims, and especially like the lawsuits for the claims about the Dominion voting machines and whatnot. But what about the fact that things just changed so drastically overnight? And there's been so many developments, especially after January 6th. And I think that's especially why they focus on the clown show, the circus show that is January 6th. And they try to make it up to be the worst thing ever, to cover up for the fact that they don't want people to look more into the memory hold stuff that happened on those nights of the election. So Joe Biden had more than 15 million more votes than Barack Obama received in 2012. So that's another huge thing to consider right there. And even though Trump had way more voter enthusiasm for the people who did want to vote for him in the polls, Biden just somehow like sprung ahead of him. And also, Biden is set to become the first president in 60 years to lose the... So this is an article that came around about the time, like an old article that's been memory hold, I guess. Biden is set to become the first president in 60 years to lose the states of Ohio and Florida on his way to the election. For a century, these states have consistently predicted the national outcome, and they have been considered roughly representative of the American melting pot as a whole. Yeah, and we know what those states are like. Ohio, and especially Florida. Florida, man, you have Ron DeSantis as the governor over there, and they're very anti-woke, but you have a strong backlash against him too. It's a very interesting state. You have a lot of Jews there, but then you also have the Goyim Defense League and a lot of people who are anti-Semitic. So it is a battleground for a lot of like racial, cultural wars that are going on within our society. So there's another myth that Trump is losing all of his legal challenges, when in reality, he won a bunch of them, in the sense that they actually did look into what was going on with the votes and whatnot. Like, it says here that he won at least 22 of these cases based on the merits that he thinks something might have happened there. But we know that when it comes to the FBI, the DOJ, and especially Merrick Garland's DOJ, he's specifically targeting so-called white supremacy, Catholic churches, and other such congregations like that. They're targeting people like that. They're raiding them. And are you going to expect them to give Trump a fair trial here? No, they have lifetime actors. These leftist George Soros backed DAs like Willis or whatever her name is. These leftist activists, and they are making a fool of themselves going after Trump like this and making him a hero. But will they actually have the power to take it all the way? Like when we see with our political dissidents here, like Raging Dissident Jeremy, we see that 2 or 3 of the sets of charges have already been dropped, showing like the emperor has no clothes. They're just willing to throw shit at the wind in order to take somebody that they don't like down a couple notches for at least a bit, or at least cost them a lot of money and legal expenses. And especially when an election is coming up, of course they're going to want to do that to Trump. But will these charges stick? Like, I don't know where it goes from here. Okay, I need to take a drink of water. I'm just going to read the chat quick. Oh, we got some more super chats on Entropy saying, I'll throw in $50 if Alex shows up too. Well, I appreciate that, Scott Baker. Well, I don't know if he's going to show up. He's been in the chat. I've sent him the invite. I don't know if I want to press him to show up in order to make myself money, but I'll make sure to let him know that you guys really do want him on the EdgeStream. That's much appreciated. Thank you, Scott. All right, let's see who else is participating in the Republican nominee debates, or I guess the race to become the Republican nominee. We all know it's going to be Trump. These other guys don't stand a chance. Ron DeSantis for a while has been somewhat of a contender, but I just don't think he has the mojo. This Vivek guy, I feel like he's come out of nowhere, and I just want to share what his opinions are. I feel like he is like a huge populist kind of guy. People are calling him Ron Patel.
Mr. Ramaswamy. I was born in 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself tonight.
So there it is. I think he is definitely the most articulate, energetic person on the Republican debate stage. I didn't watch the whole thing. I've just seen clips, and it seems like he's smoking them out of the water by far. I know Trump didn't participate in it. I feel like he thinks it's above him. I would like to see him participate in it just because of the content, but I can understand why he doesn't want to get involved with it at this point, especially with all the charges. But, I don't know, what else has this Vivek guy been saying? Let's see what he thinks about Israel, because I know he's been pressed about that by none other than neocon Nikki Haley.
I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on
but
the
the fact
boards
of the matter,
Lockheed and Raytheon, and
Boeing came up.
The military-industrial complex. He's accusing her of being a part of it.
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on
but the fact of the matter,
Raytheon, and
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
so the reality
make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship.
Okay. So at least that's a bit of an upgrade. We're not going to be in a client relationship with Israel, which I would more accurately describe as completely fucking subservient, but a friendship relationship. Well, at least that's a step up from the absolute dog shit, sycophantic rhetoric of the neocons, right?
Who is Victoria Nuland?
Now, Keith Woods, he put together these 2 clips showing a couple whistleblowers talking about, in vague terms, what the neocons are actually about. So, Keith Woods, great Twitter threads. He's saying, must watch Colonel Douglas McGregor and renowned economist Michael Hudson on how the ethnic enmity of neocons in the U.S. State Department is the driving force behind U.S. foreign policy.
Nuland.
Oh, goodness gracious. All these hard questions. I do not know Victoria Nuland personally. I know Fred Kagan, and his brother Bob is married to her. And she's a long-term committed neocon. This is someone I would not characterize as either Democrat or Republic. These are people with this agenda, and the agenda says until the entire world is garrisoned by U.S. forces and is converted forcibly to some form of democracy that we approve of, the world will not be safe, and we must continue to fight. And I think in the case of Russia, Russia has special appeal because I think these people have ancestors who came from that region of the world and have a permanent axe to grind with the Russians, which of course I don't. I don't think most Americans do, and nor do I think anybody in government should shape policy based on whatever unhappiness their ancestors, experienced in a place like Russia. So that's a nutshell, but I think
the face when you know what they're talking about, but you know the subtleties that he didn't describe, and you may be thanking him for it, but you also maybe got your panties in a knot. You don't know if this is going to come down upon you or it's going to be clipped. I don't know. Is that what Tucker's face is right now?
Should shape policy based on whatever unhappiness their ancestors, experienced in a place like Russia. So that's a nutshell, but I think that's enough. And wherever she goes, usually there is conflict, crisis, and fighting.
I've met the national security types when I was at the Hudson Institute for many years, and they're crazy. They are filled with hatred of the stories that they grew up about their family suffering in the Holocaust, and they look at the whole rest of the world as being potential enemies that somehow want to put them in the gas chambers. And these are twisted people. And indeed, this is why people are afraid of the deep state in the United States. They're nuts.
I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. They are nuts, and they're sending us into all these different wars. I think Trump kind of sets us in a slightly different direction. He doesn't call it out to its fullness, but it's definitely a better direction. Even this Vivek guy is a better direction, right? Now, Vivek was owning like neocon rhinos like Chris Christie in the debates.
Let's just speak the truth.
And he's saying that they have Trump derangement syndrome, basically. So let's hear this.
You raised your hand supporting. I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
So it sounds pretty good. This guy is nailing all the talking points. It seems like he's filling a void of populism. Like, when Trump is not there, he's just nailing all the proper talking points. Basically, somebody who would like this Oliver Anthony song and like the working class populism versus the rich elites, this guy is nailing home all those different points. However, this guy Anomaly, he has exposed him in ways that I think are very interesting. So let's check out to see what he uncovered about him. He's asking, did Vivek make his fortune overhyping and spectacularly selling an Alzheimer's drug, then pulling out his money before the drug failed and his company's value tanked? So he's got a bit of a thread about that, about how, you know, the company's stock went up, and then as it was shown to not be worth anything, he pulled it out. He pulled the rug. Of course, that's how big pharma works. But even more so, what is very jarring is the hypocrisy that this guy is perpetuating. It's like people have the memory of goldfish. Let's see what this guy has been saying throughout the past couple years.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician.
Of a mill worker's son who dares to defy the odds. The hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too.
So who is Vivek Ramaswamy? The Obama plagiarizing Big Pharma CEO, who wrote a book less than a year ago in which he compared Trump to sore loser Stacey Abrams, said he respects Pence, and says that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. A man who tweeted out, "Well said, George Soros."
And this guy just said on the stage that he thinks Donald Trump was the best president ever.
A man who tweeted out, "Well said, George Soros," and seemingly even parroted his rhetoric on open societies. A man who took money for his law school from a Soros fellowship said he did it in a video defending himself, quote, "when I didn't have the money."
When I didn't have the money and it was a merit scholarship.
Yet Fox News reported that he made millions of dollars that year and $1 million every year for a couple years prior, so he lied about that. A man who made a fortune off of a failed Alzheimer's drug, and a man who just last year wrote a Wall Street Journal op-ed in which he said, "The most important step in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic was the distribution of vaccines." That's in 2022. So who is Big Pharma salesman Vivek? Well, he's whoever you want him to be, because just like Obama, he'll say whatever he has to say, even copying Obama, to tell the naive and foolish sheeple what they want to hear. Everyone's giving this guy softball interviews and weak debates. Vivek, if you want a real challenge, come on my channel. I don't buy your shtick at all.
So there you have it. The guy who's like the rock star on social media. I don't know how the mainstream media is playing him out to be, but holy fuck. That's pretty damning. Just a year, literally last year, less than a year ago, he's saying the exact opposite shit that he's saying now. And he's saying it all on stage as if he has full conviction. Now people are calling him an Indian scammer. Yeah, I would agree. This is much more complex and competent than your regular Indian scammer, though. Usually, an Indian scammer will, like, recreate your name on Telegram. They'll be like, Edgy D, and they'll be like, "Hello, have you heard about the upcoming crash economy apocalypse?" And you'll be like, "Is this the real Edgy? Like, what are you, huh? Excuse me?" And then, yeah, you'll find out that these people are not bots that are, like, attempting to talk to you and to get cryptocurrency from you, these Indian scammers. You'll find out that these are actual Indian scammers that are probably in like a warehouse somewhere, some kind of building over in India, that are plotting all together to try and trick all of you. Now, this Indian scammer is to the next level, and he understands all the populist arguments. But at the same time, at least he's bringing it into the debate. I don't know, we'll take what we can get at this point, to be honest. As far as, like, waking people up to how corrupt all these people, all these politicians are. But I really wonder where he does go from there, though. Like, he's plagiarizing Obama. It seems like maybe he's saying whatever he could say to get into power. What would he do if he got into power? I don't know. I don't think that's an outcome that would ever happen. So maybe he's trying to boost his own name, get on part of the campaign. CIA plant, some people are saying. Neo Gandhi. Indian bot. Somebody saying, "Come on, Edgy. Sometimes it's Nigerian scammers, too." Well, that's the OG Nigerian scam, the Nigerian print scam. You see that on all your junk emails. It's probably Indians behind the Nigerian scam, to be honest. They're just framing them. Yeah, at least he's saying he wants to defund Israel. Whoa, buddy! I don't know if he wants to defund them. It seems like he was just pushing back, like, lightly against the neocons and their absolute, like, diehard, sycophantic obsession with Israel. Like Nikki Haley. She's just like a diehard neocon. And I don't understand. Are the people, like, listening at home, do they think that, like, oh yeah, Nikki Haley really put him in his place when it came to Israel? Who would... Is that a line that has ever been said? Except for, like, weird evangelical boomers? Like a very, very small portion of them? Of course, they have, like, power within their communities, especially if they're a pastor, to get people to vote for, like, you know, the Zionist-supporting Republican candidate. I get that, but is anybody actually energized for something like that? I really don't think so. The ultimate in Indian scam technology. Yeah, this guy might be a robot. I don't know. Well, thank you, Dr. Genstein, for another super chat, giving me a heart. I know it's lonely here tonight. I don't have the boys coming to back me up. But honestly, these guys stream so often. Ferryman does his daily toll. Not daily, but he does it like semi-nightly, maybe like 3-4 times a week. That's a lot of streaming. Rage does his shit 3 times a week. I do my shit 1 time a week, and it's very difficult. I like to do a lot of preparation. I don't want to talk out my ass, but you know, it's fun. It's a good release. I like to inform everybody and, you know, practice the gift of gab. Well, that's what the Republicans, the GOP, has been saying. I don't know, it's not as fun as I thought it would be. I was really hoping that, like, Trump would be debating people and owning people, and then the mainstream media couldn't avoid it. But it's very easy to avoid, like, Vivek arguing with, like, some retarded boomers and Nikki Haley. It would have been way better if you had Ron DeSantis versus Trump and, like, Vivek in the fray trying to, like, prove himself to be better than Trump. Because he seems like kind of like a Trump stand-in as, like, the most interesting character. I don't even know what Ron DeSantis said during the debate. Did he even say anything of any interest? Man, it sucks when even the political debates suck. Come on. They could at least be more cringe or entertaining. I really hope that it gets better. Because we remember the 2016 election, Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, and then him saying to Hillary, like, rebutting to something she said, yeah, because you'd be locked up. You'd be put in prison, essentially. And then everybody going, oh, shit! That's when politics was fun, okay? But, whatever. We'll deal with this for now. We have the Indian scammer. Well, now, what is Biden saying? Biden addressing... what was that guy? The Wagner Group from Russia. How do you describe this guy? The leader of the Wagner Group from Russia. He was like a leader in the Russian military. Or some kind of mercenary group or side group. And then he went rogue. And they said, okay, just please stop trying to take over the government and trying to get authority over our military operation and just get the fuck out of here. And then the leader of the Wagner Group, he left. I think he went to Africa, of all places. And he said he was going to do some stuff there. But then he crashed his plane and supposedly he died. There's forensic evidence that he died there. I don't know. This whole situation is completely ridiculous. I don't really get it. But this is Biden's reaction to it. The Chad Biden reaction.
Mr. President, do you have a reaction to the plane crash in
Emerging from his old man cave.
Russia?
For those that you may recall, when I was asked about this by you, I said I'd be careful what I drink and what I wrote in. I don't know for...
What did he just say? Because I've read the transcript, and I don't know what it doesn't say what he said here.
This by you, I said I'd be careful what I drink and what I wrote in.
I'll be careful with that drink that I wrote in. Okay.
I don't know for a fact what happened, but I'm not surprised.
Do you think do you believe?
There's not much that happens when Russia is not behind, but I don't know enough to know the answer. I've been working out for the last hour and a half.
He's been working out for the last hour and a half. He's been pumping iron. Chad Biden is too busy getting swole at 80 years old to know what's going on, okay? Well, at least he's got a funny attitude going on about him. Now, this is a lot worse. And this is typical of his, like... Remember when he made that, I think it was like a State of Union address, and he had that weird, creepy red background where it looked like he was like some kind of crazy dictator from like Pink Floyd's The Wall. He had just the most insane backdrop to him, and he went on to say that white supremacy is the biggest danger, it's the biggest threat to our democracy. So this is a continuation of him saying that, and I think this is like yesterday. And it's in response to a shooting that just happened recently. Some freak show went out and shot like 2 black guys or something at a Dollar Tree. Well, anyways, this is what he said.
To the point where the intelligence community is determined, the U.S. intelligence community is determined that domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland. The greatest threat.
So there you have it. He's reiterating something that he did in his like weird red background, like authoritarian State of the Union address. I want to pull that up. Biden, red background. Yeah, everybody remembers this meme. Now, I don't know why he chose that background, but this is what we have to deal with from here on out. White supremacy is the biggest deep state, CIA, FBI, DOJ. It's the biggest terrorist threat. You know, it's not the rampant crime, the escalating drug use and drug overdose deaths that are decimating our populations. It's not the drugs coming through the border. It's not the constant waves of migration, and none of our officials in America or Canada protecting the borders whatsoever. No, it's none of that. It's simply the people who are standing up and using their free speech to speak out against it. And then they use like weird freak shows like this new Jacksonville shooter. Like, nobody knows who this guy is. He's an absolute freak show. He like apparently carved a swastika on the end of his gun. And that has anything to do with people wanting to limit immigration for a sound policy, like a sane policy that any reasonable, sane, like not fucking absolute clown show country would have implied long ago before it got this much out of hand. But of course, they're going to strawman. They're going to use these people to say that we're all terrorists. And it's just another example. Yeah, Biden is very fitting for the times. At least as. Yeah, he is like partially lobotomized. Like most people who consume mainstream media and whatnot. And he's in power. He just reiterates what is coming from top down. I don't think there's any agency in his body at this point as a president. He's completely controlled by the families, the elite, the system that was put in place behind him. And he's just like a soundboard for them at this point. Well, we've been going for about, how long? An hour and a half now? Okay, yeah, let's get into the housing in Canada issue. I haven't really read any of this, but I've been hearing non-stop talk in my personal life about just the price of housing and just the whole situation getting completely out of control. Like, more and more people, including migrants themselves, are just realizing that Canada is not the place to be. Like, we historically have been looked at as like a destination for like freedom or whatever else. I don't know, for economic prosperity. But that whole notion has just been abused so badly. More and more people keep coming through, and there you go. Now we don't have anything. And that's just the way it is. And I haven't looked at what the Liberal Party has been saying about this housing and immigration situation. I know it's already dog shit. I know that their first and foremost priority is obviously diversity. And even the Conservative Party, though, they say that they're going to make more housing they're going to break down like residential units and force like provincial or municipal areas to allow more housing units into areas that were typically made just for houses. So now there's going to be more apartment high rises, and things are going to become 15-minute cities. Like, it sounds like what Pierre Poilievre is proposing is that we create so much more housing in all these high-rise type apartments, and that is going to lead totally to 15-minute cities where everything you need is within your zone, right? And what are they going to say to people who try to travel outside of their zone? Obviously, they're going to make incentives for people to participate in their own economic zone that they have been basically shackled to at that point. So, Pierre Poilievre not acknowledging that bringing in like 500,000, a million, who knows how many people per year at this point, like 500,000 plus legal, plus all the illegals per year. And he won't even make the slightest iota to even acknowledge that this is doing anything to the whole housing crisis. Now, that's a recipe for absolute fucking disaster. Sorry, just checking my messages quick. So, what is Trudeau saying about what he will do about the housing crisis? Trudeau's immigration minister says he will examine immigration's impact on housing. Oh, he's going to examine it. Okay. Well, I'm glad he's going to do that. Great. Oh, so on top of the 500,000 people per year for the immigration flow coming in, there's 800,000 international students. So you can expect that in all of the university towns, whether it be Toronto, BC, or any city in between, there's going to be so much competition. And how is this going to help anybody? How are people who are born here going to get jobs or be able to compete? Now, I guess they would say that, oh, capitalism, we just want the best of the best, so more competition means that the more suited person is going to get the job. Well, that's false, because they subsidize all these people coming in constantly. And I want to show you something to do with that. Now, this just made me laugh my ass off, but it was also kind of sad. So I just moved out of London, Ontario, and a friend of mine sent me this article. So this is a shitty dive bar that I used to do stand-up comedy at. It sucked. Whenever there was like an opening spot or I was booked on a show at this place, it was like, shit, is it going to be any good? You know, sometimes I had really good shows at this place. It was called Old East 765. But anyways, it's getting demolished now. And of course, they're going to be bringing up a new high-rise building. And it's going to be housing for newcomers. Of course. Because that's exactly what we need at this point. With this housing crisis, we need housing for newcomers. So let me just find how much they're going to make them pay. So about half the apartments in this proposed project, which received seed funding from Canada Mortgage and Housing Corp and the London Community Foundation's Social Impact Program, will be affordable units costing about $800 a month for a 2-bedroom unit. So newcomers, like besides all the free housing they get when they come in illegally through Roxham Roads and all these Niagara hotels or whatever else, by the thousands, these refugees will be getting $800 a month rent for 2-bedroom units. A 2-bedroom unit costs like $2,000 at least in the more in the less expensive areas of Ontario. Like a good 2-bedroom unit in Toronto, like forget it, that's way up. That's insane. So, what? They're just prioritizing all these newcomers immediately and very openly? $800 a month for a 2-bedroom unit. I fucking wish. If I can move in with like a good friend for that price and then like get my shit off the ground, that'd be fucking awesome. And then you look at all these comments. This is in the London Free Press. So this is the local paper, and people are very awakened to it, even in the local paper. This guy, I've been homeless for over 10 years. Okay, well, let me see if I could find the most liked. So these are the most popular comments. And one thing I want to show you about this housing crisis is that people are waking up. And they are also waking up to the fact that immigration is causing this, including the immigrants themselves. And Pierre Poilievre is completely unwilling to even address anything that has to do with the immigration crisis being involved with the housing crisis. So there's really like a huge door of opportunity for people to like educate and push this message forward and all this information. Hold on, I'm just going to check my messages. So yeah, people are saying, looks like a win for the immigrants, but unfortunately, not for existing Londoners on a huge wait list for affordable housing. Yeah, I lived in London, and the homeless, like, drug epidemic is brutal there. Like, there's a stereotype about EOA east of Adelaide. And yeah, these people are like fentanyl junkie zombies. It's brutal. Another person saying, I come from immigrants and know Canada was built on them. But what about all the locals who need housing and medical care? It's time the government stops taking immigrants till we can look after our own people. Wow. This is in a local paper. 31 upvotes, 0 downvotes. Is that not democracy? I don't see any democracy being imposed when they gave all these new refugees and migrants this affordable housing, but not the homeless, not the people who are really in need here. They don't care about like the increasing rise of costs for people who've been living here for decades, for generations. They just don't care about us, I don't think. Yeah, we have so many homeless people and people on the verge of homelessness due to rising rent costs. And the city is building a 200-unit building for immigrants. There is something very wrong with our government. I do not have an issue with immigrants, so don't start yelling at me. But we need to take care of our own first. Wow, what a thought. What a thought. So those are all the top comments on a local news article. So I guess when CBC isn't able to like specifically curtail their comment sections to agree with what they're saying, then yeah, you get things like that and real people expressing real grievances. And they'll probably all vote for Pierre Poilievre and they won't press him on these kinds of things. So we need to press him on these things for them. And hopefully they'll see it. Right? And I do think that Pierre Poilievre, he is gonna become the Prime Minister of Canada. In due time, he is gonna become the Prime Minister of Canada. And we need to keep pressing him about all these issues. So, I found this on TikTok, and apparently this is the guy that the movie The Big Short is based on. So, The Big Short is a really interesting movie about the 2008 financial collapse of like the mortgage crisis, all that, the housing bubble popping. Very interesting movie. So, apparently the guy who predicted it in the movie, I forget who played him. It might have been Christian Bale. or somebody along those lines. Like a really good actor portrayed him. But anyways, this is what apparently he said, and this is a video on TikTok of that. Oh, sorry. I don't have a video on TikTok, but yeah, I guess this guy, Michael Burry, he's saying that we're ready for a stock market crash. Now, people have been saying that we're going to go into recession at any moment now. I don't know how long this bubble is going to keep on growing, right? Because from my amateur economist point of view, I would say that if they keep on bringing in more and more immigrants into Canada, they could keep this bubble expanding for a very long time until it eventually pops when, you know, the progress that they think that they're going to make from this expansion of our population doesn't go it doesn't turn out the way that they think it's going to go or the way that they say it's going to go, right? So how long is the bubble going to expand until like we get into a recession and maybe the prices of houses go down? I don't know. I know that we need a new minister of housing, I think, or at least a new minister of immigration. And I think this guy might be one of the best candidates.
What is the biggest thing you regret in life?
I regret in life? I regret coming to Canada because if I had stayed in the Caribbean, I would have been way better. I came to Canada, I worked, I don't know, maybe 20 years. I had to go back to my country. 7 years, living here for 20 years, 7 years of my country, give me enough money to buy 2 properties in Canada cash. 7 years, 7, and still 20 years here just paying rent and nothing. It tells me Canada is just a trap. I own property and it's hard for me. So imagine people who are from different countries for the first year and you're wasting your time, you're going to stress out, you're going to go crazy, and you're going to die in less than 10 years, when in your country, which would have been harder, you live for another 40, 50 years. No matter how bad it is in your country, it's only going to get worse here. I'm telling you the truth. I travel the world, I live a good life, all kind of stuff. Idea of Canada is to get out of Canada, not get in. And I've realized that between America and Canada, the people who are living back in their country are living better than us who are living over here.
Well, there you have it. All these people who are coming here, are they living a better life here? Are they exploiting our economy? We don't know. Like, happiness is probably a measurement that like leftists would add into this equation. Like, oh, are they more happy if they come here? Are we saving them? They have this white savior complex. But I feel like a lot of these people would be happier in their own countries with their own fucking people. And yes, they have economic opportunities when they come here, potentially. But I think it's getting to the point with this guy. He's saying that, like, what, is he going to become an Uber Eats driver and just slave his ass off? Like, living with 6 roommates in a house, or 8 roommates, or, like, this family piling on top of each other in the same room? Like, what does it come to? And how long are they going to keep up this charade of $500,000 a year, $600,000 a year, plus all the legals? Just more and more fighting for the same resources that they're already trying to suffocate us out of. They won't even let us use our own resources, like in Alberta, the pipelines, the energy. You know, they're saying that it's going to affect climate change. And then meanwhile, you have all this news about the wildfires. The wildfires are going crazy. No mention about how a lot of this is arson. It could be arson. They're not going to look into it if it is. So, what does that tell you? We know that the carbon credit tax scams and the CBDC is all going to go towards the same narrative, the same agenda. And they're going to try to pin us down and tell us that if we don't give up our way of life, if we don't start eating less meat, if we don't start traveling less, giving up our vehicles, then we're going to be causing all the wildfires all across Hawaii, Northwest Territories, BC, wherever they happen, right? They're going to use these psyops, these guilt trips. Now, I'm sure that wildfires happen and, like, it does decimate communities, sometimes even naturally. But they're really going to take it to the next level now, because they can never let a good crisis go to waste. So I think they've given up a lot of this COVID agenda. This COVID agenda has passed the 2022 Freedom Convoy. I think that kind of showed where people's heads were at with that. It seems like they're trying to bring it back. I don't think they're going to be able to bring it back. Not with this alt media like paradigm in place at this point. I feel like the alt media, like with Twitter and Elon and like Jordan Peterson and all these people who are woke to like vaccines and vaccine side effects, I don't think that we're going to be down for I don't think we're going to be subjected to another lockdown. I don't think so. However, I think they're going to try for it. They're going to see what they can get away with. But then the next step will be more wildfires. And then eventually the carbon credit, CBDC, and mixed in with all the hyperinflation and the cost of living crisis, people are going to give in to all these incentives. And they're going to really crack down on political dissidents and people who advocate for free speech. And of course, the immigration angle, they're just going to keep on piling and piling people in here. And as long as people can't say anything about that, or they're distracted from all these other things, then that is going to be the icing on the cake, and then it's finished. So, mass migration will be the icing on the cake for this great reset. That's what I think. I'm going to see what people are saying in the chat. Oh, over on Entropy, we have a couple more super chats. Dr. Jenstein saying, I think for some reason we see eye to eye. Let's include cocaine rim job. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the donation. I don't know exactly what you mean by seeing eye to eye, but if you think that, then that's probably true, because you're listening to me. Rocking out with his moobs out, my man boobs. Appreciate that. For newcomers, not edgy. So you just gave me like another epic super chat donation, and you're saying it's for the newcomers and not edgy. I don't even know what that means. You're fucking with my head, Jenstein. But I appreciate the support. I'm gonna put it to good use. You know, time is valuable. Oh, and another super chat saying, amen, brother. Fear-based. I feel like that is the password to like a Bitcoin wallet or something. Like a 4-word phrase. So I'm going to be looking for that Bitcoin wallet, Dr. Jenstein. It seems like you are the master. You are the funder of this movement. Very epic, very based. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Lee Stewie is saying that we have to start housing migrants. That could be a push for people to do in the future, right? Like people or boomers or whoever else who has their own home and they have a vacant room. They could start using incentives to make them want to rent out their room to a migrant or whoever else. And then if they don't want to do that, they could start advocating for penalties against them. So a penalty if you have a vacant room in your house. And they could keep on going from there. They could shame them. They could do this and that. There's a lot of stuff that could come out of this. At least doing is saying, that's what Jenstein's money is for you to house a migrant. Okay, well, I don't know. I think this could be the beginning of some epic sitcom, like Edgy D, My Black Son, My Black Son. Every day is just another adventure with him, My Black Son. I don't know. Seems like good times are ahead of us. Thank you once again, Jenstein. I see on Reddit, people are making alternative subreddits because they're being kicked out of the normal Housing Canada subreddit. And usually that means you were sent to Dumpster Island by all the like Reddit tier faggots that consider themselves Reddit mods. You really have to be a weirdo to be a mod on Reddit, especially for a mainstream subreddit. But anyways, there's Housing Canada too. And in that, you have people who are saying things like, Canadian housing and immigration crisis, a perspective from a new immigrant. So now, I've spent almost 2 years in Canada. I'm one of the lucky few with a well-paying job in a position to start a fruitful life here. However, I cannot ignore the crisis unfolding in front of us. We are running towards a brick wall at full speed. My friend and I have discussed the Canadian situation using what we call the shitty all-you-can-eat buffet analogy. So he goes on to describe his life, his new life in Canada, and our housing situation, the shitty all-you-can-eat buffet. And he goes on to say at the end, alphabet people will attack and never accept any remotely different perspective. Now this is on Reddit, of all places. Reddit is the most woke place, so they're needing to make alternative subreddits in order to accurately express themselves, including the migrants who, they're supposed to be being woke towards, but no, even the migrants themselves are like, fuck this shit. Canada, r/Canada housing too. Let's let it all out there. But yeah, it's brutal out there. I watched one video from a migrant who is somewhat of a vlogger. I think he might have been Ukrainian or something. But he was citing some polls that were saying that about 30 or 40% of newly arrived migrants, they want to go back. When they were polled, they say they don't like it in Canada. They want to go back. And there's probably even more who can't admit that they made a wrong decision. So what I think here is that we should offer repatriation and, all this money that's going towards all these immigration scams and housing, especially illegal immigrants in Niagara hotels and Quebec hotels where they're coming through on Roxham Road. A lot of this federal government money or provincial government money, wherever the money comes from, should be used for repatriation for immigrants that honestly don't want to be here. Give them an option to leave with a little sum of money and then let them get the fuck out of here. And then we could go from there. But at least give them an option to leave and then close the border, obviously immigration moratorium from there on in. But that's a very humane, very reasonable, very democratic, because everybody has a say when you do something like that. Give them some repatriation money to get the fuck out. It's very simple. But I think, obviously, the politics in Canada are so far gone that, Pierre Poilievre won't even acknowledge the place of immigration when it comes to the housing crisis. So this is where we're at. This is where we're at as a country, I guess. Dr. Jenstein with a couple more super chats saying, I trust a migrant sleeping next to my children. We are not done yet. It is really crazy when you think of it. Yeah, let's bring in a refugee to sleep in our house to take that spare room. And they're coming from a country that's full of turmoil. Now, I can understand with Ukraine, you're bringing people in from this war, but even then, that's extremely sketchy. Why would you want to bring people from a war-torn country into your home? Do you think that the people that you're bringing in have nothing to do with the reason why their country is war-torn in the first place? Especially when you look towards like the Middle East and Africa. It's like, oh, there's some political strife in Haiti, and these people need to get the fuck out. So how do you know you got the good people? Is it all just good people who are refugees? What if they were like insurgents and rebels against the government, and they were extremely sadistic, and they got kicked the fuck out? Are you gonna take them into your home? It's absolutely fucking crazy. Like, you're taking in people from countries that have so many problems that they produce refugees to come to your country. And you're bringing that in. Okay. Team Murdoch saying, what a cesspool Reddit is. Really good for nothing. Any dissenting opinion is immediately voted down by the horde of beep pedos. Yeah, that is pretty much Reddit right there. I remember back in like 2016, 2017, you did have some good subreddits, and you could get some good like political information, but they definitely siphoned that all out probably around 2016 to 2018. They got rid of it all. You could still find some good forums when it comes to like health stuff or prioritizing like testosterone or naturopath type of stuff and nutrition, but anything political, Reddit is one of the most cringe, like fedora wearing, soy boy guarded social media platforms that you could possibly think of. It's actually quite ridiculous. Alright, I think I've gone off about a lot of stuff right now. I don't know. I might wrap it up. I might cover one or two more things. I'm gonna play a song. I'm gonna leave this on a break, and then I'll be right back. And then I'll cover like one more thing before we go.
Got a big stick in my hand and
And we're back. I'm just looking at my notes here. I've got a bunch of stuff over here. Thinking at what is the best last topic to cover before we go tonight. What are people saying in the chat? I see Lee Stewie saying, their shithole country needs them. Yes, especially if we're causing brain drain from these countries. Why don't they stay there and help build up their country? And then hopefully we could help them build up their country over there. That sounds like a way better option instead of depriving them of all the people that could help build up their own country so they don't have to come here in the first place. Right. So, looking at some of my topics here. Okay, yeah, when it comes to political persecution, Henry Hildebrandt over in Ontario, specifically Almer, Ontario, during the COVID pandemic, he would hold church services, and I went to at least a couple of them, and he was racking up like the most amount of charges, or one of the most amount of charges of any church throughout the pandemic. And when I went to his congregation meetings, his masses, his services, whatever you want to call them, they were very joyful. He spoke a lot about freedom and how the Bible values freedom in our society, and how he was against this politically too as well. It was a very energizing sermon. He really made a lot of sense, and he connected the Bible to what was going on right now, and how it was sort of like a freedom of conscience movement that was going on within his church. So, here is where he's at now, after all the smoke has cleared. So it seems like he has settled after getting charged with many charges, like adding up to almost $1 million, just all these different fines and charges and whatnot. So he has pled guilty to one $65,000 charge for like one day in June 2021. So let's see what he has to say about this. So once again, this is like a political persecution that we've kind of forgot about, because so many things happen so quickly with the way that our world is going right now, that sometimes we don't have time to think back and look back at these people and what happened throughout the pandemic.
Sentenced today for continuing to assemble for worship with our congregation in 2020 and 2021 as the Bible directs. A justice of the peace fined me $65,000 for an outdoor church service that was live streamed and open for all to attend on June 6, 2021. Even though most pandemic-related charges have been dropped, and many are being dropped in Alberta, the recent ruling there does not apply to Ontario, as it pertains to a technicality of the issuance of the pandemic mandates in Alberta, not the constitutional validity of the tyrannical orders imposed by conservative governments in our provinces. I admitted today to one count of obeying God rather than man. I freely admit that we violated the Reopening Ontario Act, an act which brazenly violated Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the underpinning of the Canadian Constitution. In her decision, released on February 28, 2022, Ontario Superior Court Justice Renee Pomerantz ruled that the orders stemming from the Act directly violated our freedom of religion, and accepted that these mandates had a negative psychological impact on the well-being of church members. However, she ruled that such violations of our freedoms and negative impacts were justified in a free and democratic society. This decision was later upheld by the Ontario Court of Appeals, as well as by default the Supreme Court of Canada, by even refusing to entertain our appeal on this matter of national importance.
So overall, it seems like they pressured him down to accept the guilt on this one specific charge, and that would also make go away many other charges of other people. So very specifically, it's like, you know, in criminal cases, it's like, if you take the rap for this, we'll take away the criminal charges of everybody else. So they're going to get what they want. They're going to get an admission of guilt, which they got here. And obviously, Henry Hildebrandt is phrasing it in a way that makes it sound like, yeah, he did stand by his freedom of conscience, and he is admitting guilt, but he's also admitting that he did it on his own volition, which I think is pretty epic. But at the same time, it seems like the state wrestled him down. They got this huge fine out of him, and they got him to admit guilt, so that and I think he took it so that other people would be spared of all the fines, all the persecution. It's very interesting what happens once the smoke clears on everything that has happened in Canada. Like, what is going to happen with Randy Hillier and all the charges that he gets? Is the smoke going to clear in a way that is satisfactory for anybody? Who knows where this persecution goes from here on in? Like, Trump with 91 charges with 4 or 5 different states. We have a raging dissident who's behind me on this side. I don't know how many charges he still has. He's taking down groups of charges one by one. But it seems like we're making some progress here. So, you know, let these prosecutors overstep. Let them play their hand. If we can support each other and we could back each other up, then we could fight against their lawfare, their criminal, or their warfare in treating us like criminals, right? But we do also have to be careful, right? We can't be making stupid moves. We have to be playing 4D chess with them and let them overreach their authority onto us and try to charge us with things that they're not going to win. And then we win against them, and then we could use that to have a bit of a hold, a bit of leverage over them. Now, I don't know how that exactly works when we don't have the power in this country, but we do have the power of people who really do care about where we are going as a nation, and we care about each other too, and we'll get together with each other. So they're definitely scared of that. That's why they're spending millions of dollars investigating people who are just live streaming, who are podcasting. It's absolutely ridiculous how much they're spending even here in Canada. They're probably logging this stream right now. I don't even fucking know. But hey, it's the way that it is. Dr. Genstein with another super chat saying, reach over and tickle Jeremy's balls, please. I don't know. I don't know if that would be considered a sexual assault. Maybe I'll just do it. There you go. A bit of an optical illusion for your sick imagination, Dr. Genstein. But I do appreciate the super chat. 07's to you, brother. And yeah, it is interesting to see what happens once the smoke clears with all these different legal battles. Man, there's been so many different legal battles over this whole COVID period that it's hard to keep up and give each one its due diligence to understanding what actually happened to everybody here. And I think it's part of like the New World Order, the globalist elites. It's part of their plan to just batter us down with so many different things. And then the political dissidents just get so tired out with having to deal with one thing after another. And yeah, it is what it is. But I think one of the main things is understanding that mass immigration is the thing that other people aren't talking about. It's the thing that the establishment isn't talking about. It's the thing that, Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau certainly isn't talking about it. A lot of people online, a lot of people in real life are talking about it, but they have nobody to enact their voice or to stand up for them in real life or to articulate what they're actually thinking. So I think that there's really an open area for people to go in and say what people are thinking. And, that's my opinion on the housing crisis in Canada. Well, anyways, I think I've been going on for a bit over 2 hours now. I appreciate you guys all coming out, and especially Dr. Genstein for funding this fucking madhouse, funding my insulated murder dungeon over here. He made me do disgusting things to Jeremy. I apologize, but I appreciate it very much. I'm sorry that Ferryman or Ranger Derek couldn't come on tonight. Hey, I'll come on to their streams more often if that's what you want. I love participating in this community, and hell yeah, it was great to see you all. I'm gonna go look over in the YouTube chat. Yeah, they're talking about housing, but not demographics. Lee Stewie says. The elephant in the room. Yep. Well, I've had a great time with you guys tonight. We'll keep on pressing through on these topics. I'm going to use a lot of that money that was donated there into making this stream better, into making my content better, and I really appreciate it. 07s to you, especially Dr. Genstein, and I'll see you guys again next week, or maybe sometime in between then. But I appreciate you guys coming out. And I'm going to play you guys out with, I don't know. I think some Tupac. We've been putting on a rap, a rap Trump mugshot, dissident kind of feel that's been going on tonight. I think we're going to end it off with some Tupac. All right. Smash that like button. It was great to see you all. I'll see you again next week.
Troublesome nigga. Troublesome 19 motherfucking 96. West side. Let it be known, nigga. Boss of all bosses. Machiavelli. Minutes and methods label me a lethal weapon, making niggas die, witnessing breathless imperfections. Can you picture my specific plan? To be the man in this wicked land, underhanded hits a plan. Scams are plotted over grams of rocks. Outlaws, motherfuckers die by the random shot. We all die.
Appreciate the super chats. Anderson Paladin, bomb gun knife //. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. I'm motherfucking troublesome. Dr. Genstein with some more slashes. Really appreciate it, brother. Alright, have a good night, guys.
Niggas talk a lot of shit, but that's after I'm gone. Cause they fear me in the physical form. Let them be known, I'm troublesome. Troublesome niggas. Outlaws. Put it down to the fullest. Spitting rhymes and bullets. We troublesome. Y'all know what time it is. Call the punk police. They can't stop us. Niggas run the streets. We troublesome. Gutter ways, my mentality is ghetto. A gorilla in this criminal war. We all rebels. Death before dishonor. Bet I bomb on them first. Niggas knew we came from murder. Pulling up in a hearse. West side was the war cry. Busting on frilly. Screaming fuck all y'all niggas in Swahili. Pistol packing fresh out of jail. I ain't going back. Release me to the care of my heartless strap. Say my name 3 times like Candyman. Bet I roll on your ass like an avalanche. So survivor. Learn to get high and pull drive-bys. Murder my folks. Can't control my nine. Hearing thoughts of my enemies pleading, please. Bustin' ass motherfuckers tried to flee. Picture me letting this chump survive. Ran up on his ass when I dumped him down. Cause I'm troublesome. Young, strapped, and I don't give a fuck. I'm hopeless. I live a thug life, losing my focus, baby. I'm troublesome. Bad boy killer. There is no one realer. What you saw was the rough, rugged, and raw. Outlaw. Murder, my mind state. Shit ain't changed since my last rhyme. Afraid to sleep, I'm having crazy dreams. Vivid pictures of my enemies, family times. God forgive me cause it's wrong, but I plan to die. He to take me in heaven and understand I wasn't sheep. Did the best I could, raised in insanity. Or send me to hell cause I ain't begging for my life. Ain't nothing worse than this cursed ass hopeless life. I'm troubled. In your wildest dreams you couldn't picture a nigga like me.